For years in the quiet woods of Michigan, a man lived a rather ordinary life. A life filled with family, friends, work, the day-to-day things you and I both know so well. But there was something else. Something he couldn't quite forget. You see, this man had seen something. Not in a movie, not in a dream, but with his own eyes. Something tall. Something massive. Something covered in hair. Is something that, if he told most people, would earn him laughter instead of belief. So he kept it quiet. For a while. But that sighting, that sound, those moments when he knew he wasn't alone in the Michigan woods, they stayed with him. They nagged at him. Until one day he decided silence wasn't enough. Instead of hiding it away, he turned on a camera, he opened a microphone, and he began to talk. First a little, then a lot, about Bigfoot, about cryptids, about the paranormal, and about anyone else out there who had seen what the rest of the world said wasn't real. And do you know what happened? People listened. They listened because they too had stories. Stories of ghosts in their homes, lights in their skies, creatures in their backyards. People who were laughed at too, but with him, they weren't laughed at anymore. He became something else, a host, an interviewer, a storyteller. Now, he wasn't just a man who once saw a giant in the trees. 3 live shows a week. A podcast, Brunch with Bigfoot, and hundreds of videos, thousands of listeners. Thousands who no longer felt so alone. And when the lights go on in his Michigan studio, when the camera shines, another guest calls in from another corner of the world, he's no longer just a witness. He is the voice for all those who whisper, "I've seen it too." So today, when you hear a man from Michigan speaking boldly about Bigfoot, about UFOs, about ghosts, about mysteries the world isn't ready to explain, you remember that it all began not with fame, not with microphones, not with an audience, but with one man standing quietly in the woods, looking at something the world says doesn't exist. And now you know the beginning of the story. It belongs to a man known as Bigfootmichiganrob.
It would help to add myself to the stage. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and of course, the lovely Monica. Monica from Our Paranormal World. Check her out on YouTube. She has a fantastic show. Please subscribe. Thanks to everybody for coming in tonight or this afternoon. Yeah, I know I said tonight I do a day show, an evening show, and of course, a night show. Oh, by the way, the late show will be back this Saturday. I've been off the last 2 Saturdays. Me and the gals took some time off. Things are going on. We'll be back this Saturday. The Saturday after that, however, we will be at the conference. So there again won't be a show Saturday night. But we're here for brunch, and we'll be back on, and we'll be doing our thing. Monica's got a show, I think, on Thursday nights. I think she changed her schedule a little bit. I'll get with her in a minute and talk about that. Yes, a week from today is the Crossing Realms Conference. Tickets are still available, everybody. The link I pinned it up top. I pinned that up top for everybody to check out. Come on down, join us. It'll be a great event. I'm glad that it's coming to an end, the advertising that is, and we'll get through this in a week from today. If you're going to the party, that is, it's on Thursday. And of course, the conference is, Friday is the meet and greet. We're showing a film. And then, of course, the conference Saturday. If you're new here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Of course, I mentioned Monica, Texas Front Porch, Dine Show, Says Stuff, Paranormal Paul, Truth or Tinfoil. And I think that covers everybody. I don't know. If I missed you, you know who they are. Thanks everybody for chat, for coming on in. Hit that like button, please. Leave a comment afterwards. Thanks for everybody for buying my books. A Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, Book 2. Simply type Bigfoot Michigan Rob in your Amazon browser. They'll both pull up. Thanks for that. I'll also be bringing my books to the conference for sale. So thank you for that. The super chat's open. A great way to support and help what we do around here. You, mateys, join today. Become a BMR pirate. That's right. Join today. Thanks for that. I appreciate each and every single one of you for coming in. With that being said, I'm going to go and pull up Ms. Rollins.
Ms.
Yeah, you know.
That's hilarious because my most of, not all of them, but most of my social media handles are Ms. Me.
Are they? I like that. Ms. Rollins. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Ms. even means. Is that just like, play on words?
MS, I think, is usually for older women that are divorced or widowed.
Oh.
I mean, well, divorced, I think, specifically. Widowed, I think you'd still be Mrs., but if you're divorced, you're not.
And that's MS, and MISS is Miss whoever is just a single gal, right?
Just like, okay, so in German, there's Fraulein and there's Mädchen.
Okay. We're all familiar with Fraulein.
Yeah, Fraulein is really for younger women and girls, and then Mädchen as well. And then there's Damen, which is formal, like ladies, like ladies.
Ladies, yes. Ladies, the German ladies. I love Germany. I was there for Oktoberfest many years ago. I had a buddy stationed down there. I told you about that a long time ago, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a great time in Germany.
I'd love to go to Oktoberfest in München.
Yes, München. I tell you what, though, it was fabulous. I didn't like, though, the square we were at.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like this part of it. The bathrooms, they had outdoor troughs where all these guys are standing around doing their business in. So you'd be
just
staring
in
at
front of everybody?
Huh?
Just like
right there, yeah. Women would walk by, people could walk by. They had this there, and this was a while back. I was 23 or 24 years old. Hopefully they changed it since then, but it was very yeah, I didn't like it. We'll leave it at that.
It's very I don't know, it's a voyeur's dream, I suppose.
I guess so.
It's not for somebody with a shy bladder, I'm sure.
No, not at all. But the German folks, a lot of them were from they thought nothing of it. I mean, it was just like, going to McDonald's, I guess. I mean, it was like, okay, whatever. I found that to be odd. I found that to be very odd and strange. And yeah, I had
that is strange. Like
indoor facility. I did. I just
I mean, I have nightmares about I have to go to the bathroom so bad, and there's the only toilet is one with no wall. It's like on a sidewalk, and it's that, or in my that's a nightmare that I have.
That is a nightmare. I gotta tell you, another thing that I wasn't too fond of was back when the Red Wings were good and we were called Hockey Town. I used to go to a lot of Red Wing games, and and they had troughs too, right? And it was a huge bathroom. There's a million guys, and at the end of intermission, everyone would run to the bathroom. And there's just a million guys, and we are literally, it's so packed at that stadium in the playoffs, or for the Red Wings back in their glory days. You were literally shoulder to shoulder with guys going to the bathroom. That I didn't like that either.
Well, at least it's in
at least it's enclosed.
It's not like a public event.
It's not out
children and women
exposed to women, children.
You're on display for all of Munich to take a look at.
Yeah, so that was the worst. Then I finally figured out. Then my buddy goes, "Yeah, I get you. And here's where you can probably go more private."
I'd find a bush. Jeez.
Oh yeah. Well, it's so expansive where I was. It was just hard to find anything. Yeah, I mean,
I guess. I mean, but as large as that festival is, They should have lots and lots and lots of
Porta potties.
potties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was an experience. It was a great. Outside of that, it was fabulous food and drink, and really, the people of Germany are really cool. Very
That's
cool.
really cool. Yeah. Love to
So
go there.
I had fun.
I think it would be fun.
Yeah. It was a blast. It was definitely a blast. I was down there about a week, which was fun. And then when my buddy retired, when he moved from Germany, what he did was he bought a here in America, he bought a Mercedes Benz. And again, we're going way back some years ago, and he bought one for like $30,000. And the same car back in the day here in America, it was worth $130,000. He got a great deal because the Mercedes Benz class, is like buying a Ford or a GM product here, and it only cost him like $10,000 to ship overseas back to the States. He got stationed back down in Austin, Texas. What is it?
I'd fly to Germany to buy a car and ship it back.
Easy. I think it was like $10,000, but you know what? It still was more than double what he paid for the car.
Yeah.
So
heck yeah, that's okay. Everybody, like if you got the means, go to Germany, buy your BMWs.
Yeah.
Right, your Bavarian Motor Works. And
yes, there you go.
Ship it over here because it'll be less than just buying a new one at the dealership.
Oh yeah,
apparently.
Yeah.
The airplane
yeah. He still has that vehicle to this day. Yeah. Hey, World Bigfoot Radio, Duke, how you doing? Subscribe to World Bigfoot Radio, everybody, if not already, on YouTube. Duke Sullivan in the house. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. So yeah, Monica. So today's the last day for my garden. Everything is pulled, ready to go. Fall is here. Okay. I took about 15 tomatoes off my last plant. They're all green, but they're now in the shade. So I got them in a sunny area outside. And here's the thing. You know what I did this year? And I want to run this by you before we get on with, the show. I've got, since this past spring in April, I swear I've probably put 500 perennial flower seeds in this section along my fence line. And every time I went to Lowe's or a gardening shop, I would just buy a 50-cent to a $2 pack of flower seeds that are supposed to grow 500 at least, probably. I don't know, there's like 10, 15 in a pack. I don't count them. They're so minuscule or small, I should say. And not a single flower came through from April. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, not even one. I'm wondering though, maybe they need that germination period, and maybe they'll come next year in the spring, or should I just start all over?
What flowers were they?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. There was like 20 different varieties, all perennials. And what I did, I throw them in this section. It was dug out maybe a foot from the fence line out, and I would just haphazardly throw them all over and take this little plastic rake and just kind of rake the dirt over, water it, of course, and that's all I did.
Well, sometimes they need that cold. I think it's called cold stratification. They need the cold to trigger their growth. So if you planted it in like this spring, let it overwinter, and then I bet they'll pop up with flowers next spring.
We'll see. Because, in April, we still had 35, 36-degree nights. And in May, really, we have a lot of 30-degree nights. So, I mean, to me, that was plenty cold, right? But maybe, like you say, we'll just wait and see until next year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I just found it to be odd.
Well, I have to go rip up my garden. I have a single butternut squash that's still on the vine, but the vine's starting to wither. So I'm going to let that puppy ride it out on the vine as long as possible. But I've got a tomato plant, like an heirloom tomato plant, that didn't produce anything but stems. Like it's leggy. It grew. It was indeterminate, so it just grew all over the place. But did I get a tomato off of it?
No,
not a tomato to be seen.
I gotta tell you, where I live in Michigan, my brother, my buddy, us three that I know for sure, none of our gardens did well at all. In fact, I didn't get any jalapenos. I didn't got no habaneros. I did get, oddly enough, tomatoes, but I planted those mostly in pots. I didn't even get cucumbers. I got nothing. My brother, same thing. He got nothing. He didn't get his corn, and every year I look forward to his corn. He didn't
Oh,
even get good corn at all.
hmm.
My
That's
buddy did get some good peppers, but he's the only one that got something. I got nothing this year. And then I was reading that I think a lot of it here in the state of Michigan, it might have had a lot to do. People were suggesting, because although it was a hot summer, it was with the wildfires in Canada. It was always a hazy day, and people were
mm,
suggesting that maybe that smog had something to do with it, because a lot of people in Michigan had crappy gardens, and maybe that had something to do with it. Or just a theory that's out there. I don't know.
maybe. I mean, my garden didn't produce well. I mean, my jalapenos grew like crazy. So that's the only thing that actually produced like usable produce. I got a few Roma tomatoes. They're trying to produce again, so I'm going to leave those in and see what happens for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, but that heirloom tomato plant's going. It's on its way out. My potatoes didn't do anything. They grew a few vines and then they withered back. So I'm trying to dig them up to see, like, did they rot? What happened? What's going on with them? So I've got half of a container dug out already.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sweet potatoes are going nuts. So as soon as it starts turning cold and those vines die, I'll dig those out.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty cool. You do a little inspection. You check the roots. That's I've never gone that far as much as I love doing it. Actually, I did notice though a lot of the plants that I pulled out, especially my peppers, and I pulled them out because I did want to pull out the bulb and see what the roots were all like. My roots were still like damp and they were very thin. It's not like they didn't even seem like they matured.
Yeah. They weren't deep. They were shallow.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like it was just blah, So I don't know. But so back to the drawing board for next year.
Yeah, I bought fall plants. They're actually in the back of my car. I need to get them out before they croak. That I've got to go put in place of that heirloom tomato that just grew wild.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I had nothing. I didn't even have anything grow wild. Hell, I'd have taken something that grew wild and produced nothing just to see it grow, but it was just a bad year.
Yeah, there's always next year.
That's what I always say. Hello, Joe Stewart. Hello to everybody, and thanks for coming on in. It's interesting. I got this just like I was going through my email, so I didn't have a chance to like memorize this story that I got. It's about a Bigfoot encounter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just read it. I said, it's not the most exciting, but like I always say on shows, I like getting these stories. It's just, how do you say it? I say data or data points. You say data or data. I say both.
I say both. Usually it's data.
Yeah, me too.
I'll say data.
When I was younger, it was data. Then I started saying data. I don't know.
I say them both. I kind of flop between them, but if I'm paying attention when I'm saying it, I think I say data. But I've been known to say data. Potato, whatever.
Yeah, I know. I figured I'd ask you because you're just so adept with the English language.
So adept.
Yes, I didn't have a chance.
Text. I hand my text. Misspellings everywhere.
Oh, I can't text for crap. It's always misspelled, and I'm like, I'm done with it.
Yeah, you should be able to extrapolate the required information.
You should be able to. Yes. Anyway, so I didn't get a chance to memorize this, so I got the email. I'm just going to read it to everybody. Then I got another story after this, and my phone always blows up at showtime.
Yeah, I think it's the conference.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The conference, the link is pinned up top, everybody. Plenty of time to get tickets, and if you are a vendor, come on down. $75 for a vendor table, amongst the other things we'll be doing with all the guests, the speakers. The haunted show, the haunted home, the haunted ranch, or whatever we're doing. So Anyway, so yeah, so I didn't get a chance to really put this to memory. So I'm just going to read this to everybody, and we can talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
It's a Bigfoot encounter, and it was sent to me by email. Was Mystic Werewolf.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I liked that right away. Like I said, I just read this morning. It goes, hey Rob. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, I used to target practice in the sand and gravel pits and mountains around Sultan, Washington. Back in the summer of 1982, I was target practicing one summer day and had an unusual encounter in one of those sand pits. He says I had a 3x12 powered telescope on the 30-06 with me on this day and was going through 100 rounds practicing shooting with both eyes open. I had just replaced an replaced an empty clip with a new one. I took one shot out of the new clip and then noticed some movement out of the corner of my eye. I scoped in on the movement and saw what looked like a large, hairy humanoid. The hair was just a shade darker than the golden brown. I could see the body from about the waist up. It was standing at the top of the sand pit to the left of where I was targeting, calmly watching me. At first, I thought someone had put up a cardboard cutout up there, and I scoped it out to see what I was actually seeing. While I was looking at it through my scope at it from about a range of 75 to 100 feet away, which is quite close with a scope, right? It blinked, and my first thought was Bigfoot. Then I remembered someone once told me there was $1 million bounty on one of these creatures, and I decided to cash in on the said bounty. Before I go on, Monica, I can only recall a $1 million bounty. Wasn't that
It was
a
a
couple
TV
years
show.
back in Oklahoma? And that was on a TV show?
I don't know if it, well, I don't know about a bounty in Oklahoma specifically, but I remember the TV show $1 Million Bigfoot Bounty that was on Vice.
Oh, wow. I never seen. I
It
can't
was like
believe.
a reality show where everybody had to compete. That's the one that I was like in the running for. I had to go out to LA and I was like sequestered in this hotel for
Oh, okay.
days.
That was
Yeah,
that one?
that's that story. It was that one.
Okay.
And then I saw the show once it aired and I was like, I'm glad I wasn't on.
Oh, God. Oh, you didn't make it. You didn't. Your scene got
team.
cut.
My team.
Your team got. It was on the floor of in the film room.
No, it wasn't cut. We didn't film at all. We
Okay.
went through the process, the interviewing process.
Oh.
And we got to the last stage, which is where you meet with the execs. And then they run you. I had to take a psychological test. I had to take an IQ test. I had to go to a class for STDs because apparently everybody's horny on set when you go do TV shows. I've never had to do that before for any TV show.
Oh my God.
I had to take a physical. They ran extensive background checks to make sure you weren't a serial killer.
Oh my Lord.
It was crazy. And it was,
I remember you told me this before,
Yeah.
but it's always interesting to rehash it.
Yeah, it was 3 days. You weren't allowed to leave the premises of the hotel. You weren't allowed to drink alcohol at the bar. And I was like, what the?
Oh, really?
And we weren't supposed to talk to any of the other potential contestants.
It's almost like a jury.
It wasn't that big of a hotel. So we're like constantly like thrown in the face of these other contestants, but we're not supposed to acknowledge they exist. So it was a very strange process.
That was strange.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like the TV shows I've been on, I haven't had to go through that kind of thing.
Yeah.
before. Even the one I just did for history, I mean, I went through like an interview where she just had me tell her my story and whatnot. And then they decided to use it on the show. So I had to fly out to film that.
Yes, right.
But like anything else, I guess maybe I just hadn't been a part of a series or a multiple episode show. And that's a requirement. I have no idea.
That's the same one I got turned down for with my Bigfoot encounter. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, so she told, because I asked her, I put him on the spot when I was being interviewed.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I was like, so, my buddies like Tex and Rob up in Michigan, and she's like, they haven't ruled you out for like next season, but what they were trying to do is, because this is a pilot, there's probably a limited number of episodes they're ordering just to see like how it fares. Okay. And if nobody watches it, they won't renew it. Okay. So they're just trying to get certain ones out in front of everybody. But she said, like, you and Tex and Krista and Brandy as well. She said, we try to do, let's say, episodes revolve around like situations in a claustrophobic setting, like that make you feel claustrophobic, or and they didn't write you guys off. They just have you for a specific type of episode.
Okay.
So she's like, we haven't written them off. And I was like, well, you might want to tell them.
Yeah, because I just got the email, I'm like, well, no, we decided, maybe season 2, but not this season. But that was it. I mean, you gave me more information than what was in my dumb, we don't want you email,
Nobody likes those emails. We're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. However, we went in a different direction. Yeah. But anyway. So anyway, back to this story. The $1 million bounty, I think I stopped it. Okay. So he says, he's got this creature lined up in his scope, and it says, instead of pulling the trigger, he stared for maybe 35 seconds or longer and put the rifle down. He goes on, and it says, it seemed that I had tunnel vision, and I continued to watch whatever it was until it stepped backwards into the trees and vanished. Then I grabbed my rifle, and I ran for the spot that it had been standing in. So going back for people just coming on in, this guy lines up a Bigfoot in his scope. Apparently it's a Bigfoot at this sand pit that he was doing target practice at. And now the thing is gone back, and now he's going to that spot. He runs over there. Okay. So he says he got to the spot where he's seen this thing in the scope, and he says he starts looking for evidence. He says, no footprints, no hair, no stench, no evidence of any type. I searched for what I guess would be about 20 to 30 minutes. I measured a tree standing next to whatever it was or had been, and I had to grab the rifle by the butt and extend my arm as high as it could to go to reach the point on the tree that had been next to the head of this creature. And it was at least 8 feet tall, give or take an inch. And then he says in this, I double checked the measurements with a tape, and when I got back to the car, I got it. Yeah, and it was right around 8 feet. Okay. After I realized what I almost did, I got scared at what I had thought about shooting at. I decided to leave and went back home to my house in Seattle. It was just a couple years later when the memories came back to haunt me. I was watching, Harry and the Hendersons. And when I saw Harry, I could not believe what I was seeing. The face of what I saw in the mountains was not as pretty as Harry or what I saw on TV, but in general, it kind of looked very similar. In fact, if I'd pulled the trigger to this day, I would have thought that I committed, I'm not going to say what he wrote, unalive potential human being.
Yeah. Starts with an H.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Harry. Well, yeah.
Well, it sounds.
I got you.
Right, yeah.
It's an awful chance to take, sneaking up on someone while in a costume who is shooting a hunting rifle just for a joke. And if it was someone in a costume that needed a good makeup artist to pull it off, I was looking at, whatever, he goes off on a tangent there. But anyway, thought that maybe it was someone in a Bigfoot suit comparable to Harry and Henderson's. To this day, I don't know what I saw, but I know I saw it, and I think I know what I did see. The one thing I do know as a fact, this was not a bear or any other animal of the woods. I've been a hunter for over 20 years, and I know the difference. So, again, kind of an odd story in a way. I mean, the reason I even bring it up, Monica, is that we always talk about data, but this is something people talk about all the time. They lined up something in the scope, thought about shooting, looked too much like a human being,
Mhm.
and did not. We hear this all the time, so I thought it was kind of cool to share with everybody that we heard thousands of stories like this, right, Monica? First of all, your take
Yeah.
on this. I will just tell you, I think the guy saw something. What? Who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely saw something. I don't like the fact that it didn't leave behind any prints or any kind of physical evidence or smell, especially, is interesting to me because I would expect footprints, like anything, to show that something was there. I mean, depending on the ground, I don't remember, did he say whether or not it was soft earth or compact or, but you should still be able to see a trail. If something that large turned around and walked through the forest, you can track that. There's sign that shows something large went through there. And smell, I mean, I don't necessarily expect to see hair, but
No. Well, here's the thing, too, Monica. To your point, too, it was in a sand pit and sand. We've all walked on sand, and it's very easily, especially you can walk on sand. Your tracks are there, depending on when. But this guy immediately rushed. As soon as this creature, whatever it was, disappeared back to wherever it was going, he ran there and got there. And he was 100 feet away. Well, via the telescope pulled in 100 feet, right? So there should have been tracks at least. I would think standing in the
if it's
sand, unless
100 feet away, he was not using a scope.
yeah. Well, I think maybe he says the scope showed from 100 feet, I guess, and I'm guessing that he would need the scope to hone in on something 100 feet away. The creature I saw 90 feet away, I need no scope, and I can give you every detail
Yeah,
from head
I
to
mean,
toe.
maybe meant yards. That seems more.
I think yards is more
Yeah,
appropriate, but if you sprinted 100 yards
that'd
from
take you a
point,
minute.
it would take you a minute. Casually walking would take you double the minutes. I would still think, depending on the sand, I guess, right? Because not all sand leaves back tracks. Some is coarse, some is fine, right? It would depend on the
It depends.
terrain.
Well, wet sand will leave a better track than dry sand. Like, was it damp? Like, what was,
Yeah,
you know?
I did find it surprising no track. The
So
stench,
where
the
was he
smell.
again?
This was in Washington somewhere,
And there was sand.
and it was in a gravel pit.
Oh, a gravel pit.
So I assume that's man-made.
I'm assuming it was on the forest line. The
Yeah.
gravel pit. It wasn't like wandering around the center.
Yeah,
Of
so he said it when it ran back into the woods in the back of the gravel pit.
Okay. Well, okay. So he went back to where it was standing. Did he look in the woods at all? Like try to
He said he
follow it?
spent 30 minutes, according from what I remember from just reading that. He spent 20 or 30 minutes foraging all about, this area. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, 100 yards will take you a minute to get to, but if it's a gravel pit, I mean, that's pretty clear. So, it's not like something's obscured while you're moving toward, I would imagine. And I don't know. Like every gravel pit looks different. Is it abandoned?
Yeah,
Is it active? Was it, a true gravel pit, or is it just, like we called a place in Gifford Pinchot the gravel pit, and that's just because it was an impression off the road. I mean, you could drive down into it, and it was sunken from the road, but there was gravel spread around where you could park. It was just a big open area with gravel at the bottom, and we called that a gravel pit.
Okay.
So, is it truly like a defunct mining operation, or what are you considering a gravel pit too?
No, all great questions. And again, when you get these emails or you find something on another website, I mean, they give the story, and that's it. The questions that we have. That's why it's great when you have people on the show to further elaborate.
Oh, sure. You can ask all the questions, and get the answers. So, I think he definitely saw something. Whether it was physical or not is maybe questionable. If the thing was in a gravel pit and it was compact, then yeah, I guess it wouldn't leave tracks. But you should have been able to see where it went into the tree line, and you should be able to follow it. So if you're a real hunter, you should be able to follow that trail when it went into the woods.
I would agree with that one, definitely. Thank you very much to the half-inch wrench crew. They'll be at the conference for your awesome super chat, super sticker. Yes, can't wait to meet the folks over there. He was on my show. They were on my show last about 2 weeks ago. Go check out the half-inch wrench crew on YouTube
Cool.
and subscribe. So yeah, so that was interesting. Again, we've heard similar stories. We don't have the answers, can't ask the questions, but I guess not an exciting story, but I just wanted to bring that up because, again, everything's not terrifying and creepy. It's just data, just to put in for the future.
For people that haven't gone out and done any type of like research in the field, let me assure you that 99.9% of the research is boring. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Like if you stumble across somebody who has something happen every single time they go out in the woods, I would really be suspicious of that.
Yes. And I see my new friend, Velvet Bite Radio, is in the house. She was on my show 2 weeks ago. We had a fantastic chat about vampires.
Cool.
Go check that out. And I will be on her show tonight at the 9 o'clock in the East. Yeah, the blondes will be on, but yeah, that's her schedule. I will be over there. We'll be talking some cool stuff with Melissa, Velvet Bite Radio. Go subscribe to her on YouTube. She's got a great show. I love vampires, one of my favorite genres and topics. And I've been like, when I get a chance, I binge her. She's got a lot of good information. So thanks, Melissa. We'll talk to you later on tonight. I got something that's kind of creepy, and I debated whether or not I was going to save this for like one of our Halloween shows, and because I'll be doing a lot of Halloween stuff in October, on all the shows, huh? Right?
I like creepy. Yeah.
Yes, and in fact, you and I got to do the witch. Remember, I told you.
We do. We still have to do that. Yeah.
I don't know if we should do that on this show or we should do a separate show for that.
We should do a special event show.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, we'll put something together because I love witches. I love Halloween. Halloween for me it's a holiday season, October 1st for me, right? That's what
September 1st is when I start decorating for fall, even though
it's... yeah, you were talking to me the other day and I was out looking for stuff already.
Yeah, 2 million degrees. I don't know. I'm getting lazy in my old age where I used to decorate specifically for Halloween and then I'd switch to like fall theme for things. It's all fall. It's all fall now. Like I might get like the Halloween like side.
Yeah, you already got the little foil ghost in the background there. Is that what that is?
That's Disco Ghost.
Disco Ghost?
Because he's got all the little pieces on him like a disco ball.
Oh, wow. Does it light up?
That doesn't, but my Headless Horseman over here does.
Oh, yeah. You see, you already got oh, yeah, I see that now. The Headless Horseman in the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got your little creepy other little pictures in the background.
I got him at the Ohio conference like 15 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've got butterflies. And then I've got my little ghost in the forest. I love him.
Awesome. Yes, our favorite season. One of the many favorite seasons. I just love the fall. I love all the holidays.
I do too.
Halloween, Christmas, and New Year's Eve. Who cares about that? I'm all done by then. But yeah, I just love this time of year. And of course, the football season. I'm so happy that the Lions don't play during our conference. They're on Monday Night Football when I'm getting home. So I lucked out.
You're lucky.
Very
so
lucky.
I thought I won my game. I thought I won my match the first week. I didn't.
Oh yeah, I won mine. Yeah, I won mine.
I lost by like 1.5 points.
Oh no, doesn't that suck? When you lose by
that makes me so mad. And what really makes me mad is like the kicker I had, like my bench kicker and my start kicker, right? So my starting kicker did 9 points. My bench kicker was only predicted to get like 6 points. Dude scored 14 points. If I had put him in, I would have won.
For those of you that are lost, one of the reasons why I totally love Monica, we have a lot of things in common. And when I found out that she's a football fan and plays fantasy football, which I played for 33 years, I automatically just fell in love with this woman. We talk about our lineups all the time. It's so refreshing. Although my sister-in-law loves football as well. So I got 2 girls that love football.
See?
So yeah,
They're out
yay.
there.
So thank you, Monica, for bringing that up. Yeah, I'm 1-0. I won by 48 points.
Wow.
Yeah, well, my
That
team
was a big win.
that was a big win. Yeah, I'm favored by 51 this week. So anyway, enough of that. People don't
I'm
want to
not
hear that.
favored this week, so I'm
Yeah,
I'm going to
so
get clobbered the first like 3 weeks.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I'm
So-
going for back-to-back Super Bowls this year.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot of money. I won $1,500 for being the champion last year. It's big. It's big time with us. We spent a lot of money doing it for 33 years. Same guys. One guy died in the process. You know?
I've done it for 9 years.
Well, that's almost a decade. Love it. I love to hear that. So we're gonna move on with this, and I gotta tell you, this is kind of odd. I got this email several weeks ago, and yeah, I was kind of wanting to save it for Halloween, but you know what? I just want to share it today because I didn't know what to do for today's show, this, that, and the other. So this guy says, you know, Rob, my name, he goes, this guy's name, whether it's real or not, I don't know. His name is Brian. And this Brian went on to tell me a story about a night while hunting at his friend Jim's cabin in the Pennsylvania woods. Okay. So this Brian goes on to tell me that he and his friend Jim came across something that to this day they still can't believe, right? These two friends. They went on to say something like it was just getting dark, and he goes, "Hey, Rob, you know," as this Brian goes on, he explains that he and his friend saw a bunch of unusual fireflies swarm in camp.
Okay.
Now, really briefly, Monica, I think we might have done a show on the Late Show where I talked about unusual fireflies. I don't know if you remember that. Okay.
And I said I saw a red one up in Gifford Pinchot.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And so, okay, as I'm reading this, you know, I was like, wow, okay, this is pretty interesting. So he goes on to say that there were hundreds of these fireflies.
Oh.
He says, however, Rob, he goes on, you know, these fireflies were not your typical firefly. He says that they were blue in color. And he says, Rob, I swear to you, as the day is long, or however you want to put it together, that they appear to have humanoid type heads. Yeah. So, but I'm thinking at this point, since I've met you and talked to you, you know, a lot about the fae and fairies, you know, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is going down the line of the fae or something. I don't know. And again, that's your department, and you can dice this up when we're done. But he says that this guy Brian goes on and tell me, or this guy Brian tells me that he and his friend they said that they were kind of put like almost in a trance, almost like they fell under a spell, almost like he even went on to elaborate somewhere, if I recall correctly, that almost like it was an out of body experience or something. I'm like, okay, well, maybe makes sense. I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with that, right?
Okay.
So it was Rob again. Bear with me. He says this is so really hard to explain. So he goes on to say, with these fireflies, these blue fireflies with these humanoid heads, it's almost like during this spell they're under or this trance. He says, Rob, was almost like they wanted him and his buddy Jim to follow. This is Brian telling me the story. His buddy is Jim, who owns the cabin. So he says it's almost like he and his buddy, they were just they were egged on to follow these fireflies. So reluctantly, they followed. And he says, Rob, what we came across after following these insects, fireflies, humanoid little peoples, whatever, came across something very disturbing. Okay. So he goes, so we follow these blue-headed fireflies down into a hollow behind his buddy Jim's cabin.
Okay.
And he says the trees in this area in back of the cabin, it seems there's kind of odd as they bent kind of inward, like they were trying to keep the place, this area in this hollow, a secret. I mean, that's the vibe that they got, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this Brian says, they're bent inward, and he says that the deeper that they went following these fireflies, he says, like the quieter it got. And he goes, yeah, Rob, I know it sounds cliche. We always hear the stories about the forest getting quiet, but again, I must tell you, you could hear a needle. You could not hear anything. And again, going back to data, right? Seems like whenever there's something freaky going on in the woods, right, Monica, the forest rolls, sound, gets silent, right? So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
he goes, couldn't hear a frog, couldn't hear a cricket, nothing. Couldn't even hear the wind. Didn't even know if it was windy outside. He says we just kept following those glowing things, bobbing and drifting, almost like little mini lanterns, leading them somewhere where they felt they had no business being a part of. In fact, as much as they tried to pull out of this follow, it was almost like they couldn't. Okay. So then, Rob, we found it. We found what they were trying to show us, he says. He says there was this clearing with this old blackened foundation. He says that the foundation looked like a cabin that had burned down there decades ago, leaving nothing left but stone.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but stone, char, and a bunch of weeds. He says, but Rob, he goes, man, that wasn't, he says, that's really not the disturbing part of this at all. He says that in the middle of these ruins, or whatever it is, was a circle of bones.
Okay.
Rob, if I had to guess, I'm guessing human bones. He says they were arranged very carefully. Almost, you got the impression that it was kind of ceremonial. He said there were skulls. Again, he says human skulls with candles melted right into them.
Okay.
And he goes, and standing in the middle of all of this was this figure. This very tall figure, wrapped in rags, and the face was hidden under a hood.
Mm-hmm.
And as I remember, he goes on and says that the blue fireflies swarmed around him, or this figure, right?
Okay.
And now it's when his buddy Jim calls out. He said as Jim blurted out something in the direction of this hooded figure surrounded by the fireflies. He says when he yells out towards that hooded figure that you couldn't see, says, Rob, I swear to you that the head lifted up. Doesn't know if the fireflies were playing around with it and they created this illusion, but swear to God, he says the head kind of lifted up.
Okay.
Now, he says the head, then these guys are really bearing down on this, and now they're scared as all get out, but then they notice, as I mentioned earlier, that these fireflies had humanoid-looking heads. And as they're looking at this figure and these little humanoids, it's almost like these little fireflies had the same shape of head as this figure standing in the woods. So,
okay.
Yeah, he says it was like tiny little copies of the hooded figure, right?
But it was humanoid, like humanoid heads.
Humanoid heads.
Describing.
Yeah. Yes.
So the bigger thing, he should have been able to, if he can see that they're similar to this thing, he should be able to describe it better than just humanoid head.
Yeah. Well, you would think so. You would think so. So he says that there was like, and then but further on in this story, they kind of extrapolate and get a little closer and get a closer look. It seemed like, now he says, Rob, I don't know if this was something that we just kind of made up from our conscious mind was telling us this, but it seems like these little humanoid fireflies were all like grinning back at these two guys. So it was very spooky. Okay. Rob, even to make the story even worse, he says, when this thing lifts its head like that, he goes, I forgot to make mention. I remember him saying that he just seemed like the pit of his stomach, almost like his soul was being sucked out of him. He goes, no, it's not like I was getting taken to the pits of hell. It wasn't demonic, but I felt something different.
It was a dementor. It was sucking the soul out of him.
You know, a dementor indeed. And he goes in his buddy, but this guy Bryce. Oh, Monica. So yeah, but anyway, yes. So he says now this Brian says that his buddy Jim, he drops to his knees. You know, he drops to his knees. Now, this sort of story is kind of strange. He drops to his knees in front of this whatever it is, you know, not the little fireflies, but this object, this person, this creepy thing in the woods, right? He drops to his knees, and his buddy's eyes roll back into his head like darkness are in his eyes, because he goes around to try to get him up and ask him what the hell he's doing, right? So he's shaking his buddy Jim, and then he screams at his buddy Jim. Then his buddy Jim just screams out, "Go away," or something like that. Then his buddy seems like he snapped out of whatever it was. His eyes were back to normal. They both kind of wake up from whatever trance that they're in, and they turn around and they start running out of there, and they get back to Jim's cabin, which unfortunately is maybe some 90, 120 feet from this, what they just witnessed, right? With this thing standing there.
I'd keep going.
I kept going to the main ride, jumped in my damn vehicle, and got the hell out of there.
Yeah, right. We'd be going back to the guy's house.
You know,
Jim needs to go spend a week with his buddy.
Yeah.
Or let the area cool off.
Go see the shrink after this. Yeah, you know, I don't know, but so they speed off. They get back to the cabin. He says, when we get back to the cabin, you know, there's no fireflies. The fireflies did not follow them or chase them back to the cabin. It was just back to the normal woods again. Everything seemed to be normal. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, believe it or not, Rob, it's kind of funny he brought that up. He goes, believe it or not, Rob, we decided to stay the night at this cabin.
Hell nah. Hell nah. No.
I mean, you know, I know you and I are a little bit crazy. I know you and I'd be the hell out of there. I wouldn't have ran back to the
walk
cabin.
Towards weird noises, right?
Yeah.
I'm weird, but FAFO, once I find out, I'm leaving.
Yeah. So, you know, absolutely, man. And then, so they spend the night. So whatever, they got up the next morning. Now they want to go back and check out this object that was standing in back of this Jim's cabin, because, you know, he wants to tear it down or whatever his thought process is. I can't speak for the guy. They go back. He wants to check this thing out or whatever. So they get back to go back to the approximate area from the previous night, right? Nothing's there. It's all gone. It's like his normal back of his cabin area. He goes, Rob, needless to say, though, we did go home, and my buddy Jim, he and I both have nightmares. Jim actually says sold his cabin. Yeah, which, yeah, I guess is a smart thing to do.
You know, I have mixed feelings when people do that, just as a side note, because if something freaky like that happened to me, I would be concerned about the next person to buy the property, because what if they have kids? Like, I don't want to expose unwary people to that. Even if they don't believe in it, that doesn't mean that it's not there.
I agree with you 100%. 100% with you. I wouldn't. Well, and the thing is, I don't know. I know a little about real estate. You have to disclose things like a leaking roof, you know.
Yeah, but do you disclose fucking monster 90 feet out the back door?
Yeah, I would not disclose that, would you?
You don't.
You know,
you don't. Can you imagine a buyer looking at you like?
But I agree with you, though. I'm not. I'd feel guilty about selling, especially if I seen what these guys allegedly saw. I'd feel guilty selling it to a person with a family, young family, wife, or whatever,
Well,
right?
anybody, just, your potential. I mean, I also understand, like, not everybody can keep a property if it's not functioning in some manner, right? You can't just sit on
Yeah.
it. That's a lot of money. And I understand that, but I would be so conflicted internally, just some unwearing sap, like wandering into the backyard when the moon's aligned the right way, like whatever happened to me, and they experience that, unwittingly. Like, again, even if they don't believe in it, doesn't mean it's not there.
Good point. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And this guy in conclusion says, Rob, to this day, the day of this email that he sent to me, and I got this 2 months ago. I think it was like, no, March 9th, it says. He says to me, though, to this day, not Jim, but this guy, Brian, who sent this over to me, says he still to this day, once in a while, more than he'd like, has these dreams. And it's always about the dreams of these fireflies with these little humanoid heads on them.
I bet he did.
And he
I bet
can't
he did
shake
have
it.
dreams about it. That's a little psychologically traumatizing when something starts to steal your soul.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that I just wonder, I mean, we've talked about the fae and fairies and stuff, these fairy folk, this, that, and the other. Do you think? Let's forget about this figure, right? With these little blue fairies with the humanoid heads, right?
Sure.
When you hear that, does that kind of remind you of the fae at all, or any of this story at all?
So, I mean, potentially, yeah. I mean, the little glowing firefly things with the humanoid head certainly line up with fae. I mean, fae come in all shapes and sizes, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was one that was, I mean, as tall or taller than humans. There's stories of them, right? They're not all tiny little things. And that specific one, surely there's some folklore out there that has something similar in it. But I don't know. Like the soul sucking, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this.
Well, he says this guy, Brian, says he feels like his soul is being sucked out of him. Now, I don't know what it would feel like to have my soul sucked out of me. I've experienced a lot of crazy things, had a lot of crazy dreams. I can't say that I've ever experienced that.
Very disconcerting, I'm sure. Like,
very
standing there already in awe of what you're seeing, and then you get that feeling like something's being drawn out of you.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that would be like.
I mean, that's why he's having nightmares for sure. I mean, he's traumatized by it, but what those things could be, I have not heard of anything like that specifically. The fact that there were human bones, right, with skulls, it tells me that somebody was jacking around with things they don't understand. And it's not uncommon for fools to call up things they cannot put down, right? So it is potentially, what most people would consider a demon, right? And who's not to say it doesn't have little swarms. It has the ability to send something like that out into the world to gather humans to bring to it, to feed on their souls, potentially, judging by what this guy had. Now, his friend lives there. He's never been back in the woods before. He's never seen this structure back there before.
Right. Yeah. So, apparently never.
I'm not joking when I say the moon is lined up, or you're there at the wrong time, we'll say, but really the right time for all of this to manifest. Because if he goes back there 2 days later and it's not there.
Yeah, right.
You were just there in the right alignment, potentially. There's so many ways that could go, and there's so many things that could be. It's hard to put a finger on it.
I was thinking too that, we always talk about these portals and slipping through this, that, or the other. maybe when they were following these fireflies, that when they came across the skulls with the melted candles and everything else that he talked about, something tells you that maybe it wasn't even his in back of his cabin. Maybe these fireflies, these maybe fairy folk, whatever you want to say, they entered a different dimension or walked through a
So
portal.
they went through a fairy portal, right? Which is potentially accurate, right?
Hmm.
But usually it's not the same scenery. Like if the trail is the same and the tree placement is exactly the same, the only thing different is this burnt structure with this ceremonial space, we'll call it, at the center of it. That's not really like usually when you walk through a fey portal, what people describe is a completely different scene. Like it's still forested, but it's not. Let's say you're in a mountain, like let's say a scrubby forest, right, or a really dry climate. You're walking into a more lush green climate, that kind of thing. Like it's still forest, is different kind of forest, or you recognize that these aren't the same types of trees that were around me before. You usually notice you're in a different place. It's not the same place. There's just something here all of a sudden that wasn't there, like a structure, like one thing's out of place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the entire scene is different. So there's a lot of questions I would have, like follow-up questions I would have for the guy to try to pin it down in my mind. But it could also be that, this entity that it was in the center of this circle, made itself visible to them. But like, again, everything was in the right alignment. And he sent out the little fireflies to guide souls to him, we'll say, or it.
Yeah, whatever it was. And is that kind of similar what you're talking about with the different terrain and all this? You remember when I told that story about that man that was camping and hunting in the same area for well over 20 years, and he remembered this area like the back of his hand. He could walk
Mhm.
through it with a blindfolded, in other words. And remember, it was off of a river or a
Yeah.
stream bank. Remember how I was telling the story that the guy found an unusual trail and he veered off of that trail? Then everything all of a sudden became night and day. If they were oak trees, they were birches, Yeah,
Yeah, that's
if
a fairy portal.
it was
That's a
green
fairy.
grass, it was bluegrass.
It wasn't there before. All of a sudden, it's like the trails. Yeah, a lot of people will take the trail they'd never noticed before, and it leads them to an area that is completely unlike the surroundings they were in. Well, not completely, but definitely different than the surroundings they were in before. So that would be a fairy portal.
And then in that story with how he got out of it was by the trees with the faces, right? The unfamiliar trees started, manifesting faces in the trees. And he got that odd feeling that he should follow the faces and got back to familiar surroundings. Is that part of the Fae as well? When we talk about how the trees
Yeah.
manifested into a
Well,
face?
if you follow the fairy portal into a different, you're essentially going into Fae, right? It's not transporting you to a different place on Earth necessarily. It might look like this realm, right? This plane, whatever we call it, this dimension, but it's taking you to a different one. Parallel but similar, but it's Fae, right? You're in Fae, which is the land of fairies, right? You're in Fae. And if you go there accidentally, I could see them trying to lead you because they don't want humans there, unless they targeted you specifically. And if they targeted you specifically, they're probably going to try to keep you there. But if you were there mistakenly, the trees were helping him get out. I don't think they want humans in their realm.
In their realm,
They
right.
belong there. That's my opinion.
No, I got you. Why would that trail then just all of a sudden inadvertently just show up when he's not ever seen it in his entire lifetime? Was it put there for him to go down though? Did they?
I mean, it was there. Maybe a fae came into this realm and left the portal open. I mean, you know, and he happened to walk by and see it. I don't think it was like sometimes it is to lure you in, but I feel that if they're trying to draw you into fae, then they want you to stay there. They're drawing you in for real, like stepping into fairy rings, right? You're supposed to be transported. The people under the hill, you go into the, you know, burrows and things in the hills. A lot of the fairies are known as the people in the hills, right? Under the hills. And fae is usually underground, but not always. Like fairy rings are, you know, definitely above ground. These portals that people are seeing and walking into are above ground. A lot of stories of people being drawn into fae, they didn't go through any kind of underground tunnel or anything unusual. It was all above ground. But I feel like if they're trying to draw you in or kidnap or whatever you want to call it, if they're targeting you specifically, they want you there for a reason. If you stumble in inadvertently, you don't belong there.
And they'll kick you out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're lucky, they'll kick you out. I mean, I suppose if you meet the wrong one, it's not a good thing. But, you know, by and large, they don't want you there.
Why would you think that some of these things that would want you there? Why would they want to do with
specific reasons? Maybe one, you caught the eye of one. Maybe it likes you, right?
Okay.
Maybe it likes you. Maybe you know too much and they just want you there. Maybe it wants your energy, right? Your life force, your soul. You know, there's all different reasons why they would draw a human into that realm.
I mean, you mentioned maybe it wants your soul. So people be scared of the fae? Is that more of a scare? Is that like, okay, Bigfoot, you know, you can go two ways. You know, most people suggest it's the friendly forest giant and have had okay encounters.
I don't,
that's your thing. It's not my thing. But my thing is this, though. When you've talked about the fae yourself, that's something that you probably do not want to come across.
I mean, I would avoid, like, I wouldn't go out and look for them. And should you be afraid of them? Well, you should be leery. I mean, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid of anything.
Screaming, but be cautious. Like, just be aware. Like, they're tricky. They're definitely tricky. And I wouldn't enter any contracts with them or any agreements. You know, that's why you don't say thank you to somebody. You know, if they just automatically, like if they do something for you, of course say thank you. But a lot of people these days, you know, somebody will, you know, just to be nice, they'll end like an email with thanks. Or, you know, somebody isn't necessarily going out of their way. It's not something you would normally be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're just like, okay, thanks, bye, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. Don't just say thank, because fae, first of all, you don't know who you're talking to if it's a stranger. Yeah. Could be a fae looking like a human, right? Because they glamour. They can appear however they want. And you could potentially be opening up a problem, because if you say thank you to them, whether or not they've done anything, they'll say, okay, well, you thanked me. That means I must have done something to help you. So now you owe me.
Oh.
Even if they didn't. And they're real picky. They find loopholes. They're persnickety about like rules, like, well, their rules. And they'll find loopholes and things, and they'll exploit that. Like, you know, you hear the story about like the fae, not the fae, but like the jinn, right? The genies in the lamp. They grant you wishes, let's say. Some of them will do that. But you have to be so specific. If you just ask for money or whatever, you'll get it, but there's always like a downside to it. Like there's always a black darkness to it. Like you got it, but you know, your parents had to die in a horrible accident and you inherited the money. Like there's some horrible background to it. Like just don't enter contracts with things. Don't say thank you. Don't put the welcome mat out. Don't put welcome anywhere where something outside can see it. I mean, even if it's inside on your fireplace mantle, if you can look through the window and see it, I don't even put it on there. I have nothing on my house that says welcome.
It's that open invitation.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not just fae. That's a loophole for a lot of things to come in.
as insignificant as you think that might be, like you said, it's a good point. It's an open invitation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things, not just the vampire, the vampire has to be, invited in. Now, if you got a welcome mat on the outside, especially outside, right?
Right. Yeah. I
mean, cool. I can
yeah.
enter.
It says welcome.
It says welcome.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I've got nothing that says welcome. I've got different barriers across my thresholds. So there's all kinds of things you can do to help keep your house safe. But, everything's looking for a loophole to get in. Just consider that.
Yeah, I've never had a welcome mat ever anywhere.
I used to love those welcomes. I think they're so cute. I think the welcome signs are so cute, but
well, the things that we all just talk about, the average Joe, that doesn't care about what we're talking about, don't think anything.
I mean, I think the little fairy villages are awesome, right? I love those. They're so cute. And I would love to put one in because I think they're adorable.
Well, you know about the gnomes, right?
Yeah, but I don't want anything camping on my land. I don't want it that close. I'm not making it easy for it to be that close to me. Now, if something wants to be on your property, it's going to be on your property. I mean, you can kick it out. You can do things to try to prevent things from coming on your land, but it's like I'm not building housing for it.
No, Duke says his welcome. It says grateful. I like that.
Mine doesn't say anything. It's got Charlie Brown and Snoopy jumping into fall leaf piles.
Yeah, I don't even have one. No, I don't have one. If I did at one time, it was a green blank one that looked like grass or something. I forget. That was a while ago. But excuse me, but you're talking about these gnomes, too. It's all this stuff's so odd because remember what I was telling you about? I think we did a show a little bit on this about you and I might have done one on it about that one guy that had the gnomes. And he don't live far from here because I went to his house and checked it out. He had the gnomes in his garden that backed up to the cemetery. Mm-hmm. And he had these creepy little gnomes, right? And remember I was telling you the one day you noticed in his yard that these gnomes were all in different places. They're all scattered about, right?
Right.
Out of place. And then he thought nothing of it, thought it was maybe kids, because again, backed up to a cemetery, and he thought it was kids. And then I remember maybe it was a week or two later, same thing with the gnomes, but then he noticed on his back porch of his house that faced the cemetery and the gnomes where he had footprints that kind of matched up to his gnomes, right?
Like little person footprints,
like
right?
Little person footprints, yeah. Okay. And that was one of the stories. And I had got another story about all of a sudden he saw his gnomes. All of a sudden they had little coats made of squirrels on them that were coated in them. And
they're out there murdering squirrels.
Yeah, the gnomes were murdering squirrels and taking their pelts.
That's brutal.
But and some people believe that these gnomes are magical and can come to life.
Yeah, I mean, you put enough faith into something, and enough people put their faith into something, it can manifest. It can manifest.
I do believe in the power of manifestation. I really do.
I do too. I mean, I think that, well, you know what I think.
Yeah.
Like, egregores are born from the belief of many, right? And I think that the Wendigo is a very classic example. Traditional Wendigo don't look anything like you hear all these people describing in the woods. Yeah. But it does look like a creature that was in a movie like some years back. And I think a lot of people that were just unfamiliar with traditional, like Algonquin legends, let's say, about Wendigo and what it really is. They see this movie and they see this creature in it, and they're like, "Oh, that's a Wendigo. Oh, that's got, it's Native American folklore. It's got to be real." Enough people start believing in it, they're going to manifest it into reality. And I've had the whole conversation of tulpa and egregore. Tulpa is the belief of one person. It is a person who brings something to life through prayer and magic and their belief in it. And egregore is where something comes to life and manifests through a mass belief, like a lot of people believe in it, and that's what drives it into reality. So I think that's what a lot of the Wendigo sightings are, where they're like, oh, it's like a deer skull with these antlers.
Yeah, that's not a Wendigo.
That's not a Wendigo.
That's just shock.
But that is a creature in a movie that was portrayed as a Wendigo. So
yes.
I think a lot of people, I think that is potentially an egregore. A tulpa would be like the golem, right? The golem came to life through the prayers of a rabbi. That is one person's belief, their prayers and magic, right? That's one person that brought that to. So that's the difference.
I wanted to ask you something, and this guy was talking about the last story we did about the guy dreams about these, little blue fireflies
or whatever,
fairies, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then you had mentioned, I would dream about it too because that was traumatic. I don't know if I ever told you this, and I've often wondered about this, and you kind of spurred that on in my head. There's so many different things, when I had my experience with the Bigfoot or whatever it was, there's always something new that I come across talking to maybe you or talking on a show or just somebody sends me a comment. And you and I got these crazy dreams. We did a show on dreams, with Brian Bowden. We've talked about them ad nauseum, right? We kind of know the dream cycles we've had. But Monica, I got to ask you, and you talked about trauma, and it kind of spurred this on in my head not too long ago today during the show. Why have I never dreamt about my experience? I've never dreamt about that day, seeing that creature. I never dreamt about the transformation, the metamorphosis. I've never dreamt about Cindy.
So
I've not dreamt at all.
I've never dreamt about my dogman encounter.
Okay.
And that was pretty traumatic.
Yes.
So I think, and I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know. I think there's different levels of psychological trauma. And I feel like the deeper the trauma, the more your mind tries to forget it. And it's not always going to manifest through your dreams. There's like mid-level trauma where you might think about it from time to time. Because I'll tell you, unless somebody asks me specifically, I don't think about my dogman encounter. It's not on my mind 24/7.
No,
after about maybe 2-3 weeks, a month from my encounter, I had already put it in a corner because it's not something I want to continually relive. And my mind is in agreement with that, right? It wanted to bury it. I think that your mind doesn't want you to have to go through that again and again. I think, but I mean, that's more of a question for a psychologist.
No, I know, but we're all kind of, we all dabble in psychiatry.
We're all armchair psychologists.
We are for sure. Because it's just I find it fascinating, and even make mention. I don't really think about that at all. Either when I go on somebody else's show, Rob, will you tell your encounter? Then of course I talk about it because people want to hear it. The only time that I obsessed about it though was immediately afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
Immediately for months up until Cindy passed away. For 2 months, that's what we were into, trying to get answers. And then she died, which totally blew my mind. So,
do you see what Jason just wrote? In chat? That Dr. Meldrum passed away from cancer?
Oh, wow. I did not.
I don't know. I mean, he's saying it's not fake news.
Wow.
That's interesting. I didn't know Jeff had cancer.
Yeah, I did not read about any of that. I know he was sick on some Alaskan cruise a couple years ago. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. No, that's interesting news. I'm sure I'll have to check that out a little later, see if that's fake news or real. Thanks, Jason Finch, the Finster. So after I went through my time, I there was 2 months, Cindy's gone, blah, 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 grieved. But after that, I started the shows and I put that kind of to rest, right? But I find it odd not even to dream about her at all,
That's interesting. I don't dream about my son.
Okay.
Much to my
but your son was your son. This is a girlfriend I had for 2 years. I mean,
no, but I don't dream about him. Like even
Okay.
like you, I want to dream. Like I want to see him again, even if it's in my dreams, and I don't.
Okay.
Like I've had experiences or dreams where in the dream he's just out of sight, but I haven't had dreams where we're interacting, or maybe he's there for like a half a minute, like I see him walking through a crowd. I've had one dream like that where like it's a split second glance of him, but then he's gone. But other than that, he doesn't come to me in my dreams. He's not. And I just feel like that is because like we've made peace with the fact of what happened and they're at rest. They're not trying to come to us in our dreams and like cause more anguish,
Okay. A couple people in chat suggested I do dream about it. It's just that I don't remember it. Well, you and I both know each other where we always remember our dream. There's not a dream I don't forget. I don't know about that. How would I know if I forgot a dream is interesting, right? You have a dream and don't recall anything. I don't know.
recall it immediately upon waking. And if it's like, if my son came to me in my dream, I would be so focused on, I saw Riley again, that it would stick.
It would definitely stick. Yeah. I think I would, if I dreamt my encounter or anything about Cindy, I would remember. Because again, I don't forget my dreams. They're vivid, they're lifelike. They come in part 1s and part 2s. I haven't had any crazy dreams in a while. Knock on wood. I think we're gonna wrap it up, Monica. I got some other things to do. You, of course, work on. You got some work you've got to do.
Yeah.
And, always a great show. Are you doing anything tonight, Monica?
No, I have moved to Sunday nights because Joe is ill. Joel is very sick.
Okay.
And I need a co-host. I don't like doing that. I mean, I can do the shows alone. I just don't like it.
Oh, okay.
I'm used to having that banter. So Tex can actually help me out on Sundays, which is why I switched.
Oh, very good. And I know you did not ask me because I do not do anything on Sunday but watch football. So thank you. I don't feel
you've got so many shows going on. I didn't want to ask you to co-host with me on Thursday.
And Sunday is the day I do not do anything. I watch Duke Sullivan, but typically it's the replay. I don't do nothing but do football, my fantasy football, my Lions. That day I'm totally out of the paranormal world, literally on Sunday. Well, but I do try to manifest lion wins, so that's kind of paranormal, I guess.
Yeah, just get enough of you together, and maybe we can make that happen.
Check out the Blogs and Booze. Check out my buddy Melissa, Velvet Bite Radio. Subscribe to her channel at least. She's got a website. I'll be on her show tonight. She's cool. She was on my show a couple weeks ago. She's very cool. She's a vampire girl. Much more than that, though. That's just what she's.
I'm gonna go check her out. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's got. I binged a couple of her shows. She's interesting. She does a good job.
I'm always looking for new things to
absolutely
indulge in.
And I want to thank the Half Insurance crew for your awesome super chat today. That's awesome. Check them out. They were on. Subscribe to them. Subscribe to Duke Sullivan World, Bigfoot Central, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World. Of course, Bigfoot Michigan. Hit that like button, everybody, on your way out. Texas Front Porch, Blondes and Booze, Donnie Show, Paranormal Paul, Truth or Tinfoil. Anyways, I'm the only one that does it, I think. Maybe I'm going to stop doing that. Promoting everybody.
Listing everybody?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone does that. I don't watch the beginning of anyone's show.
It's not because I don't want to promote shows. I'm just like done. I'm done talking. At the end of my show, I'm just
well, I hear you. It's just I got that program in my brain, I guess. I don't know.
Good.
But anyways, thanks everybody. Hit that like button. And don't forget, our conference is coming up.
Come meet us in person. We're pretty cool to hang out with.
Yeah, I want to hang out with all you folks. We have that pre-party Thursday, meet and greet Friday, conference Saturday. I'm BMR.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
And for those that don't know about the conference, well, we'll leave you with this.
This is the future. Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.